Hello! I know it is January and my Christmas tree and fake gifts are still sitting right back there, but it's on my agenda today to clean those up. But before I did that, I wanted to film a makeup tutorial for you, including a bunch of new products. This is sort of a first impressions video because I picked them up yesterday at Ulta. So I will just talk about what I'm using as I'm using it, give you my 2 cents, and then any product that is brand new to me during this tutorial, I will give you a little bit more information about it in the blog post because I will have lived with it for a day or two and I'll have some time to kind of give you my impression of it beyond just that first impression. So let's jump into the tutorial. The first thing I'm using is, well, what's on my skin is the Fresh Lotus Youth Preserve with Super 7 Complex Face Cream, and that's all. And I am going to start with the Revlon Photo Ready Eye Primer and Brightener. This is to be used under your eye and on your eyelid. You know, I normally use the MAC's Paint Pot for eyeshadow primer, and then I use just concealer under my eye. I don't typically use a brightener on a regular basis, but I saw this and thought I would try it. It's one of these terrible twist-up tubes. I hate these, the way you have to apply these so much. So I'm just going to put a little bit of it on. Wasn't sure how much was going to come out right then, so I was a little delicate. Under my eye. And then since this is eyelid primer as well, I will put it on top of my eye. If you're seeing a little bit of darkness sort of underneath my eyelashes, I just did a bad job of taking my eyeliner off last night. So that's what that darkness is. So I'm just using my finger to blend this in. So even though this is a brightener, I will still use concealer. But since I'm starting with eyeshadow first, I wanted to go ahead and just put this product everywhere that I wanted it. I think that brightens quite nicely, actually. It blends in really well. It doesn't feel heavy or thick. It doesn't feel creamy. It feels more liquidy. I'm curious to see how this will do as a eyeshadow primer, if it'll last all day. So now that that is blended in, I'm picking up this palette. The last thing I need is another eyeshadow palette, literally. I have way too many. Too many to use for my entire lifetime, I think. But I saw this palette at Ulta. It's by Bare Minerals. It's called the Nudes. It is so beautiful. I had to get it. Look at those colors. It's like they finally stopped putting the totally random shades in eyeshadow palettes. It makes me so happy. In particular, this shade, Exquisite, I don't know if I've ever seen an eyeshadow that beautiful. So I'm going to use this. It's brand new. I always hate like that first brush against the eyeshadow because it's so perfect. But I thought this would be a great neutral palette if you're like, I'm just a brown eyeshadow kind of girl, which I am too. I thought I'd give this a shot, give you my my take on it. So I'm using a very old Bare Minerals brush, and I'm picking up that shade I just pointed to, Exquisite. I'm going to put it all over my lid. It goes on really nicely. I find that Bare Minerals eyeshadows are pigmented. They're a little bit crumbly in the pan, but I don't have fallout or anything on my face after I apply them. And I think a lot of that is because I use eyeshadow primer. So if you're having that issue, just try an eyeshadow primer. The one I used today was from the drugstore. Okay, so there's Exquisite. Yep, all over the lid. I always go, I don't have a very pronounced crease, so it's helpful for me to go beyond where I want the eyeshadow to be, and then I'll put the darker color on top of it and then blend it away instead of trying to just go up to the edge. All right, I gotta pick the crease color. I think I'm gonna go with one of these down here. Let's do Fate. Yeah, Fate looks good. Fate is really similar to Exquisite. It's just a little bit darker. Now I've flipped my brush over and I'm using the crease side to put a little bit more depth in the crease area, as you can see there. This is actually a lot darker than it looks in the pan. Just this shade. Exquisite is pretty much what I expected it to look like. So I'm going to pick up one of these lighter shades here. This one is Chance. And put that on my brow bone. This is where I'll blend away that eyeshadow that went too high so I can kind of create a faux crease, if you will. I'm sure there's a easier way to do this, but I kind of like that I don't have to be too particular about where my eyeshadow needs to go and I can just clean it up afterwards. So first impressions are those shadows are beautiful. There's so many more to try, but I just tried those 3 this morning. For eyeliner, I'm using an old favorite, Stila's Smudge Stick in Damsel. I'm gonna put this only on the outer corner. And then immediately grab a smudge brush and smudge it out and bring it in closer to the center of my eye. I do it like this so the line is softer as it gets closer to my inner corner. I find that that looks a little bit better on my eye shape. It doesn't make me give me a weird eye shape because I like sort of a thick line of liner. And then I'll pull my lid out a little bit and just extend that liner all the way to the corner and give it the softest little flick. I'm not going for a cat eye here. You never want your eyeliner to end short of your eyelid. I see that all the time and it drives me crazy. I mean, it's easy to do, especially if you're in a rush. You just kind of put it on there. But if I'm looking at you and I can see eyeliner and then I see where it ends and you have more eyelid, just take a little brush and just smudge it out. That's my tip for the day. So same thing over here. Putting the eyeliner on. This is a really smooth eyeliner. Only to there. Grabbing the same brush and brushing in to continue the line so it doesn't have a strong stopping point, if that makes sense. Same thing over here, just flicking that out a little bit. Then, because I've used a smudge brush, sometimes I find that it can smudge some of the product away right by the base of my lashes. This is a liquid liner by Stila as well in Intense Black. And I'm just gonna lay the liner right at the base of my lashes so I can fill in any holes between the eyeliner and my lashes. Ever since I started getting lash lifts, I find that it's a little bit more challenging to get the product really close to the base of my lashes because they're curled so nicely. So just laying a little bit of liquid liner in there covers up any holes so you're not looking through my lashes to see my eyelid. All right, next up is going to be primer. Where did it go? This is the Bare Minerals Prime Time. I gotta be honest, I got a bigger container of this and it's like completely separated in the bottle. I think I've put it somewhere else, but it's one of the pump bottles and it like explodes out in pure liquid. And I like that this is kind of a thicker serum. So I'm back to using the trial size. I hope I just got a dud bottle because I really like this primer. And I just focus this on the center of my face. I didn't put this on before eyeshadow because I wanted to have the opportunity to wipe away any eyeshadow should that have happened and not wipe away my primer. So I always do eyeshadow first. I get that question all the time. I wrote a blog post about it. I still get that question. For those of you that didn't see that blog post, I do my eyeshadow first so I can clean up any fallout because my skin is so fair before I do foundation. So primer is on. I'm gonna let that soak in for a minute and switch to mascara. This is Benefit's Roller Lash. So I'll apply a coat of this and then on top of that, I'll use Bobbi Brown's Eye Opening Mascara. This adds so much thickness. I love it. Next step is going to be the base. I have been loving the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. My shade is 5. I will just put a little bit of this on the back of my hand, and then I found that dotting it onto my face and then using the Beauty Blender to blend it in, I feel like I'm saving a little bit of product here. I don't know if that's the case, but one can hope. This is a medium buildable coverage. So with one layer for my skin, I found that I can get medium coverage. If I need more in a certain area, I'll just add another layer of it. But it is not as heavy or full as the Arbonne Perfecting Liquid Foundation that I've used for years. If I was gonna be on TV or I wanted a really full, perfect coverage, that would be the foundation I would use. But for day-to-day life, I've been wanting something a little lighter. So I tried this after seeing a couple people rave about it, and I really liked it. There are so many shade options with this foundation. So if you have trouble finding something to match your skin, look into this foundation. Got it at Sephora, and do what I did. Order 3 shades that you think. Try them. Figure out which one is right, and then just return the other 2. I ordered 4.5, 4.75, and 5. And 4.75 was a close option, but I found that it just made me look a little bit, gave me like a slight white cast in photos. So it may be good if I didn't do this for a job, but I needed something with a touch more color. So I'm just using the Beauty Blender to sort of dot this in. As you can see, still have a couple blemishes, and that's what medium coverage will give you. It'll even everything out, but it's not going to cover everything. So I'll go in with concealer and cover up the blemishes. For concealer, I love the Makeup Forever Full Cover Concealer. I'll put this on the back of my hand and then pick it up with that same Beauty Blender. I have a lot of dark spots down here, I think related to pregnancy. And then that is just a scar, not a scar, but what's the word? I just needed to cover it. And then typically I get some redness around my nose, so whatever concealer is left on the blender, I'll just kind of press that around my nose. So this is the concealer I use if I want any spots, darkness, anything on my face to go away. And then for under eye concealer, if you've watched any of my recent videos or seen me talking about makeup, you know I love the Urban Decay All Nighter Concealer. This stuff is amazing. The shade I'm using is Fair Warm. And just do a line here and then a line here. A little goes a long way. And I'm putting this on top of that Revlon brightener I used, that first product I used. A brightener brightens, but it doesn't necessarily conceal dark circles. It'll brighten them up. But if you want to cover them, which is what I want, you must use a concealer. If it was a day that I wasn't wearing a base, like a foundation at all, I would maybe just use that Revlon brightening product on my eyelid and under eye and then just leave it at that. If I'm just running errands or something, or it's a no makeup day. But for today, since I'm doing my full face of makeup, I wanted to put concealer on top of that brightener so my dark circles don't pop out. So I'm just blending that in, same Beauty Blender. So it's all smooth. Next step for under eyes is the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. This sets that concealer. I like to do this right away before the concealer really has a chance to dry. And just the tiniest amount on a fluffy brush. I kind of just press it in there. Don't swipe it. You'll just be drawing lines right into your concealer. So just press it on. This is a very old Sonia Kashuk brush. I love her brushes. Okay, so I've set my concealer. Now I have another new product to try. It is the NYX Finishing Powder. It is banana powder, so it's kind of slightly yellow in color. Really curious to see how this works for my skin tone. Oh, also a very old Sonia Kashuk brush. So I love that this is not a loose powder. I hate loose powders, but I'm picking up some of it, just a little. I'm just going to kind of press it in. I'm not going to swipe it away. And this is, like I said, a finishing powder. So this takes away a little bit of tackiness from foundation. Takes away some shine. And it should help your foundation kind of look seamless and flawless for longer. The whole banana powder focus is that it's supposed to be a little brightening. That's why it's a little bit yellow in color. I'm not a makeup artist, you know this, but I would be curious how that would work with a very pink skin-toned person. I don't know if it would contrast too much and look kind of weird. But next up, I'm doing eyebrows, so If you have pink undertones and you've tried banana powder, let me know how that worked for you. This is a old Sephora brush from a holiday collection, I think, and this is the Anastasia Taupe, or Brow Powder Duo in Taupe. I'm using the darker side to fill in the outer part of my brow. I just waxed them so they seem even smaller. I wasn't trying to make them smaller, but I have so many rogue hairs that I wanted to kind of clean it up a little bit. Now I'm picking up the lighter side of that Brow Powder Duo and filling in this part of the brow. Short strokes always when you're working with eyebrows. You never want to do a long sweep. And you can always build it. So I've just put the powder on my brows. Now I'm using another new product. This is Revlon's Colorstay Brow Mousse. The shade here is Blonde. I'm really curious about this. It's in like a spoolie brush. I pumped some of the product out already and I'm just gonna kind of rake it through. I was using a product like this from Benefit, but they pulled it off the shelves. So I've been trying to find something similar. I don't know if, yeah. I need a little more. I'm not sure if it's reaching my actual brow. Oh, yeah, there it is. So for me, this is just adding a little bit of thickness, some definition on top of the powder. I'm not really funny about eyebrows. I'd actually like to go and have a makeup artist really do them right so I could see what they would do. I'm just doing what I think is right. So kind of hard to work with is my first impression here with this brush. I wish it was in like a mascara wand where the product was down here and you just kind of pumped it in. I sort of hate that it globs up as you pump it out. I think the shade is also probably a little bit too warm for me. That's my only complaint with eyebrow products that I find at the drugstore is they often are much warmer than they need to be for blondes. And all of the products I buy at Sephora or Nordstrom that are for blondes they almost look gray, but that works well if you have kind of ashy neutral blonde hair. I just colored it, but if you can see my root area, it's very neutral in color. All right, so there's the eyebrow product. I think I could live without it is my first impression. I maybe could have gone a little heavier with it, but it's like all globbed up. I might try and run it through like a tissue or something and then try and apply it. But first impression, since I'm sharing those. All right, let's get some definition on my face. I will use the Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer. This bronzer is no joke. So using this as bronzer, not contour. A little goes a long way here. I'm just gonna put this on my cheek, big soft circles on the outer part of my face. If I was contouring, I would be a little bit more specific with the angle I was applying this product, but since this is bronzer, I'm just going for some warmth. All right, just a little. It's winter after all. Now I'm using a clean smudge brush. This is a Sonia Kashuk smudge brush. Got this recently, so it's not a very old one like I always say. And I'm going to choose a shade to put on my lower lash line from this palette. Let's go with Tranquil. And I'm choosing a lighter shade because I'm also going to put a little eyeliner down there. And I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So Tranquil is just going on my whole lower lash line. I'm putting this on to add some depth, almost like a shadow, but you can see it's not giving me a lot of definition, which is okay because now that I sort of have that shadow established. It makes my eyes look a little bit rounder, which is something I like. I'm going to pick up the same smudge brush I used on that top lash line with the Stila liner, and not adding any more product. Whatever's left on here, I'm going to go along my lower lash line, and this will add a little bit more darkness. I pretty much never put eyeliner on my lower lash line. That can look so harsh, and unless you smudge it out, it can just be almost distractingly strong. So if you want some darkness, like I do, use a smudge brush. And if for some reason I needed more definition down there, instead of putting eyeliner right on my lower lid, I would just put the eyeliner right onto the brush and then put the brush on. I would never just put eyeliner down there. So there is lower lash line. Now I'm using Pixie's Lower Lash Mascara. This tiny little brush. I'm gonna put some mascara down there. For my lipstick, I'll be trying Revlon's Matte Balm in the shade Sultry. So I wanted to pick a blush that I thought would go well with it. So I picked Tarte's Blushing Bride. Tarte blushes are always very pigmented. So I'm not even swiping the brush in there, I'm just pressing it into the product, and that's picking up enough. So now that blush is on there, I'll apply some of this lip balm. This is, what is it? Yeah, Matte Balm by Revlon. I do have Bites Agave Lip Treatment in their stick. I put this on before I even started filming, so it doesn't go anywhere, so it's still on there. And oh, it feels so good. I wear this every night in the tube product. I put that on every single night. I have like 4. I have 2 in my travel bag because I don't want to forget, like, I'm obsessed. But anyway, so I'm putting that on top of this. That might mean that the product doesn't last as long, but since it's a matte product, I don't want my lips to look or feel dry, so I'd rather just reapply instead of starting with dryness. I thought this would be a really good sort of winter berry-ish color. So this is the final makeup look. I hope you enjoyed watching this and hearing kind of my take on some of these products. I think of the bunch that I tried, I really like that Revlon brightener. The eyeshadow went on really nicely, so now it's just a matter of seeing how it lasts all day, and I loved that eyeshadow. That was beautiful. So I will write a blog post and give you kind of my 2 cents on all these products I talked about here on the video, so if you want to go check that out, you can find a link to it below this video if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're already on the blog, nice to see you here. If you enjoyed watching this, I am often sharing makeup tips and things over on Instagram stories, so go find me on Instagram. I'd love to see you over there. I love talking to you guys via direct messages or just replying to your comments. So you can find me at K8_smallthings, and I hope to see you over there.